Hi, I'm Colonel Ricky Mills, the Commandant of Squadron Officer School. I want to welcome all of you to Combined Ops Day. Each Friday at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, basic military trainees become airmen and now guardians and enter the U.S. Space Force and the U.S. Air Force. A few years ago, I had the distinct honor of serving as a presiding officer at a BMT graduation. The day prior on a Thursday, my command chief and I were able to go there early on a Thursday morning and participate in what was then called the Airman's Run. And in that run, the trainees ran in formation there on Lackland Air Force Base and culminated that run at an outdoor stadium where there were hundreds of cheering mothers, fathers, family members, loved ones. Because at the culmination of that run, all those trainees lined up in formation, and their military training instructor presented each of them an airman's coin, because now those trainees would no longer be trainees, they were now airmen in the United States Air Force. To see the pride on each of their faces was a moment that I'll never forget. The next day was graduation on the parade field, and on the day that I was there, we had 672 airmen enter our service. And the training group gives each presiding officer a note card of things you can say, which were optional. But there was one thing that they asked each presiding officer that they must say, and that was to thank the mothers and their fathers for allowing their son and daughter to join our family, the United States Air Force. And that moment was pretty pivotal to me because it made me realize that each of these junior enlisted airmen and now guardians that have entered our service are in fact a national treasure, who are loved by a mother, father, or other loved ones. And it is now incumbent on all of us as senior non-commissioned officers, as commissioned officers, to take care of these airmen and guardians as if they are part of our own family. So I want to welcome you all to this day, on a very important day, where we both get to connect together. To our senior non-commissioned officers, SOS has been around for 70 years. 100% of our active duty captains now attend in residence, making SOS the only school in the Air Force where all active duty officers attend. Our students come from a mix of all Air Force specialty codes across the total force, which gives greater perspectives and cross-pollination in each flight. Our students have been asked to have a growth mindset and open mind, and to give their best effort in order to graduate as better officers and leaders. And our students are excited and have been waiting for you. This day is always a highly rated day. To our captains, our enlisted airmen and guardians are the backbone of our air and space forces. Enlisted personnel make up 80% of the force. And in my 25 years of military experience, I've had the honor of serving with plenty of international militaries. And what makes the U.S. military so much better and gives it our asymmetric advantage, in my opinion, is the quality of the enlisted force. Unlike many of our adversaries and peers, our military enlisted force consists of all volunteers. None of them are conscripts. They're all smart, well-trained, and well-educated. And thirdly, they're all empowered like no other enlisted force in the world. Our senior NCO's primary purpose is mission accomplishment, but they're also charged with helping leaders make informed decisions, and they're also charged with developing junior officers. Another thing that makes our senior NCO special is that the Air Force and the Space Force is in them. Unlike many of our junior officers where we're still in the Air Force, for them, with all of their experience, the Air Force and Space Force is in them. And I would challenge you to make sure that there is no air between you and your flight chief and section chief or your NCOIC when you return back to your home station. And I further challenge you to go back to the unit and continue the dialogue and engagement that you have had here today. To both our senior NCOs, as well as our company grade officers and civilians, our services rely on each of you to execute the mission, take care of people and their families, and to improve the unit. I thank you all for your service, and I wish you continued success in service to our great nation. And I'd now like to turn it over to Chief Deckley an outstanding airman, leader, and teammate at the Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy.
Hey, thanks, Colonel Mills. Appreciate that introduction. I'm Chief Master Sergeant Gary Zeckley, Commandant of the Air Force Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. Welcome to Combined Operations Day. The United States Air Force Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy provides an innovative and educational experience to broaden abilities, encourage graduates to inspire others. In 2019, I deployed to Afghanistan as the Command Chief for the Air and Space Expeditionary Task Force Afghanistan. And I'd like to share a couple lessons: inspiration and opportunity. So routinely we would get some folks in as we were kind of going through operations there. Sometimes folks, when they got there, they weren't assigned to the job or the position that they were expecting. So I'll share this with you. As a major was coming in, he was going to be the exec and aide-de-camp to Major General Cornish as the commander. So you know, I took this as one of the things that I'm charged with is to mentor you know, company grade officers and officers in general. So I took the major out to lunch and I let him know, hey sir, there's these things called opportunities and opportunities. You have the opportunity to work for a general officer, to kind of to tap into him, to kind of, you know, learn some things from him and then just execute a mission. But really the second piece is there's an opportunity to get to know him on a personal level. If anybody knows Major General Cornish, you'll know that he is a phenomenal leader and he is definitely somebody that is destined for more stars in his future. So why not take advantage of that? Unfortunately, that conversation didn't set in very well, and General Cornish had to do some things with kind of shuffling some folks around. So brought in a brand new captain from Bagram, and I took the same opportunity to take the captain out to lunch and then let her know, like, hey man, there's opportunities and there's opportunities. Gave her the same conversation. Oh my goodness gracious! You know, that message was well received and just flourished in that position. You know, executing the job, but also getting to know the general officer on a personal level. You know, because you know that it might be a network that you want to tap into one day. So I hope that relationship, you know, she kind of taps into that because definitely well deserving as she took advantage of both opportunities that I provided. And then as time went on, I would routinely bring some folks in and tell them, like, there's always a lesson, and everything that I'm trying to accomplish there's always a lesson. So you know, one of those lessons is had an NCO that was assigned to the task force there, and then we had a job that kind of opened up. It was a master sergeant position. She was just a young NCO at the time. But unfortunately, she didn't like the job or the task that we were going to assign. Which was unfortunate for me because, you know, as I know all the personal stuff that's kind of going on and what we need our airmen to do in this environment, it was somewhat disappointing. So it came time to you know, for a decision to be made by the commander. So I go into the general's office and said, hey sir, you know, we need to talk about this young NCO, but also I'd like to bring in the captain and I'd like to bring in the colonel who is the chief of staff. So he tells me, he's like, Chief, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to set me up? I was like, no, sir, I would never ever do that. I said, but there's some things that I think is going to happen, you know, within this conversation, and I'd like for them to be a part of it. And then the main reason to be a part of it is the three of us together having, you know, very intimate knowledge about the situation. All of us were kind of aligned to, you know, what we thought should be the outcome. And then I let him know, as I've spent many hours with General Cornish, like I've started to learn some of his mannerisms, things that he felt was important. So I knew the very first question he was going to ask after we laid the whole story out. So bring everybody in, and you know, to make this long story short, had the conversation, you know, with the general, and really just presented the facts of the story, like no emotional type stuff, just wanted to give him the facts. And then he asked, you know, what does the member want? And sure enough, that was the question that I knew he would ask. So, you know, what I did there is I provided him some left and rights, and then what I thought. because as a senior enlisted leader, that's essentially what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to focus, or I'm not trying to drive anybody to a decision. I'm trying to give them some left and rights as far as what's the left margin, what's the right, and then here's my recommendation, and then really what is the decision. So he made the decision that didn't go along with the three of us. So CGOs, here's my lesson. Here's my lesson from that is when the commander made the decision, I needed the officers there to see that despite that decision not being mine or not what I thought, I was going to execute. I was going to execute the decision based upon what the general officer or what the commander wanted, and you should expect that from your senior enlisted leader. So for the senior enlisted leader, the lesson I would like for you to take away from this is, as the senior enlisted leader, you have a say. And utilizing your experience and the wisdom and everything that you bring to the table, sometimes it means that you don't get your way, but you utilize your experience to execute the task that's at hand. So those were essentially the two lessons, which I hope you take away is absolutely 100%. The senior enlisted leader is going to execute based upon the commander's discretion, and then senior enlisted leaders, you bring your perspective to the table because that relationship of the officer and enlisted folks coming together, it allows the commander to make the best decision as we execute. So today, each and every one of you will have the opportunity to inspire each other and later inspire our junior personnel. Together, you'll better understand the roles, the responsibilities, and the relationships of the squadron officer enlisted leadership team. It's my hope your conversations not only help build rapport, but help lead our airmen towards accelerating change in this age of great power competition. Enjoy the day together.